Hi, I'm Eric Fosgard, and I'm excited to be at this conference promoting active transportation. And I am the owner of Tulips Transit and had worked with ODOT, the Oregon Department of Transportation, for 30 years. And it came upon me a new idea, the way of the future, that is totally different from any type of transportation that we've seen before. And I'm excited about it because this is the way of the future. This is a way of applying autonomous technology, autonomous vehicles to transit. And it's different, but it'll surprise you. Today, we are talking about reimagining the middle miles, a transformative approach to delivery, unlike anything we've done in the past. I worked for the Oregon Department of Transportation for 3 decades, surveying, roadway design, construction, and each of those, the focus was on building something in 3D. Take a look at this map. This is a map that we created with 3D line strings showing exactly precise numbers so that the project can be surveyed and built. And if you are aware of how autonomous vehicles create their maps, you'll recognize a similar pattern because the autonomous vehicle is like a moving survey instrument. My brother, Scott, has been a mentor for me. We've talked a lot about advanced technologies and the exciting things that are happening now with autonomous vehicles. And the companies that he's worked with, the makers of the vehicles, of autonomous sensors and systems, have informed him over the years of the potential of advanced technology. And he also worked with Larry Burns during the time that Larry Burns, as GM vice president, and he continued for another 11 years at Waymo. Larry Burns is the world's leading authority on autonomous vehicles, and he was my brother's boss. I had the privilege of talking many times with my brother and some times with Larry Burns, kicking around some ideas and coming up with the idea that I want to share with you today. Larry Burns wrote the book on autonomy. So I mentioned to you that we are talking about a different type of autonomous vehicle. But first, keep that in your mind. We'll get back to that. But right now, I want to talk to you about this article in the New York Times back in 2019 showing the 1.5 million packages a day being delivered there, the chaos it brought due to gridlock, roadway safety, and pollution happening not just in New York City, but all around the world as we moved towards e-commerce. These vehicles that clog our streets, pollute the air with toxins and CO2. It's a big problem, and it's continuing to get more intense as people shop more and more online. Let's take a look at delivery as it is today. Looking at the last mile delivery, we have different options, new options that are great. We have Beeline here in Portland delivering using cargo bikes. I want you to take a look too. This is under the Now, the small autonomous vehicle that you will see at Oregon State and in universities around the world, or you don't see them if you're not there. And so these are kind of unknown to us. However, that vehicle is remarkable in that it has moved 4 million miles. And there are other vehicles on the horizon too. The smaller vehicles, like the one below on the right, is also up and coming and shows a lot of promise. And then you have the Neuro, higher speeds, a little bit more traffic, still a bit experimental. But that is last mile delivery. I want to talk now about the middle miles. The middle miles are all the other miles besides the last miles, and they are, in fact, the lion's share of the miles, 90 to 95% of the miles getting in and out of the warehouse, onto the freeway, onto their arterials, onto all of our streets throughout the city. The lion's share, 100% being done by trucks. And this is a problem. How can that problem be fixed where we're not using trucks for the middle miles? Now, that's a bold thought. And you might be thinking, how would you do that? But the exciting thing is that we can do this. We can make a massive shift away from delivery trucks. Is that going to happen overnight? No, nothing happens overnight. But we can, over time, make the shift away from delivery trucks to something new and totally different. And that is the different way in which we are using the technology that is available today to apply it to in a whole nother context, moving into the middle miles using mass transit vehicles. This is the exciting thing. This is the potential where you can use a large vehicle like this that we're going to see is highly efficient. Now, you still are going to be wondering, how are you going to do that? So that's what I'm going to show you. How to use mass transit instead of trucks. Now, the advantage would be that we could move to being carbon, not neutral, carbon negative. When we are stuck in traffic, in the additional trucks that are on the roads due to e-commerce are a big part of that picture of congestion. It's a huge outlying factor for adding to congestion. When we are stuck in that congestion with those trucks, all of the cars are there. All of those cars and all of those trucks are emitting toxins and CO2. We are stuck with them. If we can move away from it, we would be carbon negative. And we can. This picture is at night. And what you are seeing here is a smaller track. You have the light rail vehicle. You have an ultra light track. Where is it? It's on the transit platform. And these loading vehicles shown in blue here are also on the platform waiting. They have inside pallets, large pallets, ready to load on the light rail. As soon as the train comes, they are ready at the doors. The doors open, and within seconds, they have loaded the light rail train. The doors close, the train is on its way. We can move pallets and people. That short time that the train is at the station, and you don't want to delay that, can be used to load pallets. Now I want to show you the implications of all of that. Light rail and pallets being moved onto them do not compete with passengers. Light rail, in fact, has lots of space most of the day and especially at night. If we look at Metro Rail, which is in Washington, D.C., it's one of the most successful light rail systems in the entire country. You can see here that they get upwards of 90,000 hourly boardings. Well, they did in October 2019. It's worse for all transit systems now. But even at their best, here's what we have. And here's what we can have. Looking at the non-peak hours, we can move items, lots of pallets on light rail in Washington, D.C., and perhaps here in Portland, Oregon. The door usage is determined by passenger demand. If you have the passengers during the peak hours, then all the doors, as you can see, are marked green to signify that they're available for passengers. During the non-peak hours, then you can use it. And here we have 3 doors for moving freight. And of course, you can have a variation between. And there is yet more advantages. Deliveries would bring new revenues to transit. When you look at it, moving packages actually brings in much more money than moving passengers. 2 passengers have a similar footprint to an entire pallet. Those 2 passengers here in Portland, Oregon would pay $5. The fare from 100 packages that might fit in the pallet size container could be a $250 value. The pallet revenue could, in fact, be the same as 100 people. Now, a full train is 255 people. That's under crush mode when people are jam-packed together. Just 3 pallets, even if you only had 1 door, moving every 20 minutes, loading another pallet. During that hour, you would have the equivalent of 300 passengers, more than that train car being filled with passengers. And beyond that, new delivery markets are created. Transit delivery would boost the clean last mile delivery. And we looked at the Beeline here in Portland, the cargo bike company that's doing a great job. Their delivery service, as you can see in the gray here, is limited. It's limited by distance because they can only go so far. And they can't get up those big hills on the west side. Look at all the area of the greater metropolitan area of Portland that is served by light rail that could, in fact, be the connection to move things by transit and by bike working together. Now, this is incredible. Delivery would be less expensive than the middle mile truck-based deliveries. People often think of trucks as being very efficient because of economy of scale. But light rail is of a bigger scale than trucks. And so, because of its efficiency, transit could actually move packages for a fraction of a penny. And it's all determined by physics. Steel wheels on steel tracks, 1/20th of the friction of a truck. And 80% of the energy from internal combustion engines, whether it's gas or likely on a truck, diesel, that's more polluting, it's wasted heat. We are burning fossil fuels to give off heat and not have power to the drivetrain, unlike highly efficient electric motors that you would see on light rail. That pallet, light rail would move it for pennies, and each of those packages for a fraction of a penny. It's really amazing. We have all these advantages, and there's more. Delivery can actually go directly to the customer to promote walking and biking. Let's look at the different possibilities of trains moving things directly to people. It can be by bike. The Beeline bike can hold 600 pounds. That is an awful lot of weight. And they are acting virtually like a truck, and they're more efficient. In many instances, they're more efficient than trucks themselves. Transit delivery uses the underutilized capacity of light rail vehicles at night, as we've seen. But there's other possibilities besides cargo bikes. Autonomous vehicles, like the one shown below, one is an autonomous bike, the other two are for sidewalks, meaning that things can be moved on neighborhood streets, thinking of this during the night, on bike lanes, multi use paths, in park and rides, in mall parking lots. If many of the things are coming by night, many things can be moved easily at night when the traffic is incredibly low. Because roads are also underutilized at night, as are bike paths and multi use paths. That allows autonomous vehicles. This is the different way I was telling you about, moving even slowly, but moving safely when there is no traffic. There's a different way to get things to people using lockers. Amazon is using that in this country, as we know. This picture is from Paris, where you see that they're using their Amazon lockers at the underground station. And we can do the same thing at light rail stations, not these big ones. There's a different way. So it moves lockers in their packages right to the people while they're commuting, picking it up right there at the transit station. But also, if you move these lockers as mobile containers, they can be situated in neighborhoods on bike paths to move the lockers to where the people are. People can walk to them, people can bike to them. They can get to their items even at home as lockers are moved into the neighborhood using bikes, using clean energy and active transportation. That is all the various advantages that I am excited about to present to you today. Moving into the middle miles using mass transit instead of trucks. It's environmentally clean and safe, brings in financial benefits, taps into all the technological advantages that we have here today, moving into the future right now here in Portland. That's my goal. Active transportation, using the existing infrastructure so nothing goes to waste. Thank you. So I've been sharing with you the powerful dynamic force of Tulip's transit that brings us so many great things. We can deal with the congestion of trucks that clog our roads, that pollute the air. We can take advantage of this huge financial benefit, the revenue that comes into the city, that comes into transit, tapping into these massive technological changes that we are living with. And we can promote active transportation, people getting out on their bikes, walking, using mass transit, leveraging the existing technology that is there for us to use. We can make use of it. That's what I'm excited about. I'm fired up about, and I hope you are too. If you are, let's be in touch. And if you're not, let's talk about that. Be in touch with me, Eric Fosgard, tulipstransit@gmail.com. Give me a call and we'll talk. Tell your friends about it. Thanks.